Yeah, running a little bit behind schedule, I think, already here. But that was the number 17 car there. I think it is Arnaud Vincent who will start that car for Graf Racing, and it has not yet fired away. At least it hasn't left the grid along with everybody else. You can see there's one marshal there standing with the car, and everybody else is going to be streaming past. You see the yellow flags to wave to just give the guys behind an opportunity to make sure they don't collect it. But the guys make it difficult for us getting around the outside.
Yeah, exactly. It's a shame for them to get into that top or the fourth row. I think it's just a bit of a shame for them, because obviously there's a lot of work going into it. But you know, they might get the thing going. They're all going to try and push it. They're all pushing it in front of us at the moment, see if they can get it going.
It's a big car, isn't it? That Z06R Corvette. It's a heavy machine, but they're going to try and get it jump started, and hopefully they'll get it going. I think they're going to have to push it, however, behind the wall, which is a great shame. The Graf Racing car, Jean-Philippe Grand, who has a massive amount of experience, first of all as a driver and then as a team owner. It's a great operation he's put together there, and they're two very fast Corvettes, which should have been starting a race, but now it looks like only one of them.
Yeah, so now we've got the guys obviously doing their formation lap, and what's important now, as you see now on the screen, they're all warming their tyres up, and this sort of zigzagging across actually makes quite a big difference to getting these slick tyres up to temperature. They won't be ready for probably the first lap, but this will give them a good chance to get that temperature in there, and they will probably do this all the way around to more or less the last two corners before they all then slot back into their positions.
That's right. Of course, there's nothing like warming the tyres up before the start of the race. When you go out from the grid, the tyres are stone cold as the pressures haven't built up to their optimum pressures, and there's very small really limits in which the tyres operate at their best, Johnny, and you have to make sure that you bring those tyres up to pressure, up to temperature before the start of the race.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've got a bit of a cloudy day here at Silverstone. The sunshine sort of breaks through every now and again, but of course that makes the track quite cold, which makes it more difficult to get those tyre temperatures up, and that window is very, very small. It's probably only like a 5-degree window really to have the maximum grip from the car, so you've got to try so hard to, one, get that temperature there, but also to keep it there at the same time.
Yeah, certainly a big key to the opening laps of this race. It's very easy to make a mistake. If the tyres aren't up to optimum temperatures or pressure, it's very easy to make a mistake, and that of course is the one thing you want to avoid in the opening stages of the race. You've done your job to qualify towards the front of the field. We had a 45-minute qualifying session this morning. The fastest drivers in that qualifying session has the opportunity to start at the front of the grid, then they line up in order behind. So if you put in all that hard work this morning to qualify up front, the last thing you want to do is throw it away with a mistake either at the start or in the opening lap. So there's a lot of pressure on these drivers. Now, we've already said, Johnny, that there's a lot of these guys have very little experience. The GT3 Championship is all about building experience. It's a learning curve. It's a stepping stone to GT1, and these drivers are now on a big learning curve. You see the race officials there holding out, getting ready to hold out the extra formation lap. So we're going to have one more lap before we go green for some reason.
Yeah, I'm guessing that may be down to just giving them an extra lap just to get those tyres warm, because I think we've got a very fast first corner as in Cops, and you don't want cold tyres when you start racing with all the cars around you, because it gets a bit hairy even when it's the best. But
the pace car pulled.
The pace car's
has
pulled,
pulled
yes.
in.
They'll have to see what exactly happens.
See what flag gets shown as they come around the corner. The drivers look like they're expecting a start. And it's Philip Geipel in the Lamborghini on the pole position.
They go in there, go green.
And away we go. The great start there by Philip Geipel in that Lamborghini Gallardo. He jumps out immediately into the lead from Daniel Kylewitz, who does a fabulous job in the Corvette to qualify in second place. The 20-year-old from the far east of Germany, and the car streaming through Copse Corner. Johnny, it looks to me like they all made it through okay. I'd have put odds against that. Yeah,
no, that's great. I think that's a great start. We've got a nice race now, nice formation of cars lined up. You can see the Corvette there on the bit of the grass, but this is important for those two Porsches behind, because they can now get a good slipstream down this hangar straight and possibly have a chance. Doesn't look like they're going to get close enough, but it's an important straight and an easy pass.
That was a magnificent start there by the Lamborghini with Philippe Gardner. He doesn't have an awful lot of experience. He has won, however, in a couple of different classes coming up through the ranks in Germany. He is only 23 years of age, and this is certainly the biggest race that he has been in his career. Look at the battling back down the field of Corvette and the BMW there, and Porsches, and the BMW Z4 are coming through there as well. The Audi R8 LMS, there's a Ferrari back there, just one Ferrari in the field, which is kind of surprising. One would have thought there'd been a lot more than that, because the cars have been very competitive in GT3 in the past, but using all the road on the exit of the club corner.
No, it's a great little pass there. It's a very difficult corner. It's a high speed, probably about 5th gear, probably 140 miles an hour entering there. So that R8 getting in front was a very good move. I think that was the BMW he passed.
Yeah, and there's the car number 61 is the Finnish driver. Number 61 is
just the pro speed.
Yeah, Paul van Splunderen. Okay, two different charts here with different names on them. That's a bit weird. Thanks for trying to confuse me here. So we're on board again now with the Aston Martin.
Not on the track.
Not on the track.
He's just rejoined it now. I don't know where that is.
I think that's... He's got a problem.
Yeah, I think he's made contact with somebody, I guess. He's got a puncture on his own. But...
Yeah, you can see the car looks low, doesn't it, on the right front corner. It's got a puncture. That's a disaster.
Oh, the wheel. No, there's actually the wheel. Looks like a suspension failure.
Even worse.
Yeah.
I'm going to replay of that as the cars come through the complete lap. When on board here with Manuel Rodriguez, there's a car on his outside.
Ooh, there you go.
Number 3 Audi. It's one of the Team Rosberg cars that was collected there. Number 3 is, I think it was Johannes Seidlitz driving that car first of all in this race, was it? No, Kenneth Heyer, beg your pardon, I had to pick it wrong, didn't I? It's Kenneth Heyer, whose father, Hans Heyer, was a legend back in the 70s in touring car and sports car racing. And Kenneth himself was a former professional footballer, actually doing a good job with that Audi, trying to go around the outside there and got collected by the Aston Martin. Certainly didn't look like Heyer's fault at all.
No, not at all. No, it was the Aston Martin for sure. So now, there we go, he's in the pits now. He's out because obviously he's got suspension damage. But for the other cars now on track, there's still 56 minutes to go, and of course now it's just trying to settle yourself into a nice fast rhythm, and then actually try and, if you're behind cars, obviously try to pass them. But a rhythm in this form of racing is very, very important.
So some pressure here. That is the battle for 5th and 6th place. The 5th place is the car number 24, which is Albert von Thurm und Taxis, the 12th generation of Saxony family there, very aristocratic family from Germany. They date back to the 12th century in actual fact. It's a wonderful story. I'll try and get some more of that as we're going on over the weekend, but he's doing a nice job too, is Albert. He's got a lot of experience in a lot of different cars, massively wealthy. He was known as the youngest billionaire in the world when he took over at the helm of that family, but he's passed there. Down the inside goes the second of the Graf Racing Corvettes. The sister car did not start the race, but in car number 16 there, that is Joachim Lambotta, and he has done a very fine job. Again, another young guy without a lot of experience.
Yeah, again, the Corvette looks very good. We can see it here going down the Wellington Straight, and he's got such a good top speed. He's able to get that Lamborghini, push him wide. There you go, down the inside, actually quite easily at the end.
Textbook.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very well done. Out of trouble, hasn't caused any problems for himself at all. Now he can actually start to, as you can see on the screen, he's starting to move away already.
He's 22 years of age, from Versoix, actually in Switzerland, is Joachim Lambotta. He's a Franco-Swiss driver, has dual citizenship. He's been racing for not very long, but he wouldn't look it from looking at the way he's driving that Graf Racing Corvette at the moment, pulling away now from Albert von Thurm and Taxis.
Yeah, we've got a lot of good racing here. We've got the BMW and the Ferrari having a good battle. They've been battling now for the last few laps, but the Ferrari hasn't quite been able to get ahead. We've got another battle here with the R8 and the Porsche, the 61, side by side. Bit of a squeeze. Gave him a bit of room there. But he's very good because, again, these guys are not the most experienced. We've got a bit of a mixture, but they're doing a very good job in very difficult conditions, because the track has been changing as the day has gone on, and I think it's turning out to be a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, certainly. There's a BMW leads a Ferrari leads a Porsche, I think it was, behind there as well. All sorts of different cars, you know, just a great battling. And you know, the thing about GT3, it is a stepping stone. The FIA classifies its drivers. There's 4 classifications. Platinum drivers would be somebody like the man alongside me, Johnny Herbert, who's experienced at the very top level of the sport. Gold level is kind of the next step down, then silver, and then bronze are for those with relatively little racing experience. And in the GT3 European Championship, nobody at platinum status, as we see the Ferrari coming down the order. This, you see the standings on the screen. Philippe Geipel leads in the Lamborghini, a couple of seconds clear of Daniel Karlowitz. Jose Cunil is in 3rd place in the Porsche. 4th there is Joe Osborne, also in a Porsche. Then it is Joachim Lambert in 5th place, also in a Corvette. Then Albert von Thurm und Taxis for Lamborghini, rounding out the top 6. For Van Splunteren in 7th place in a Porsche. Stefan Lemeray in 8th in the first of the Audis, and then it is Chubba Walter in the Z4 BMW. Farther down the order, it's Petrobelli in the 10th place. He drives in he took a lot of experience in Europe, actually. In the UK as Petrobelli and Giacomelli. He raced in the Formula Park Audi Championship for several years. And farther down the field there, Mark Patterson in 21st place, originally from South Africa. He's a stock trader and a futures trader in New York. He races also in the Rolex Grand Am series for several years, so quite a bit of experience there, but still very much a gentleman driver. You can see at the end there, in 27th place, Frederick Makowiecki, already out of contention and in the pit lane and out of his Hector's Aston Martin.
Yeah, the R8s are sort of picking up speed. They sort of haven't shown their full Dakar cars, I don't think, but they seem to be sort of picking up the pace here. We have that number 6, as you can see on screen, and it's something that they seem to be upping their speed and they seem to be improving, and we'll have to see exactly how they adapt to the conditions, because what you get on these sort of hour-long races as well, because there's a lot of rubber. The rubber actually rolls off the tyre into tiny little marbles, which then go off the racing line, which makes it more difficult when you try and pass, because of course you've got to go off that racing line onto that dirty marble rubber that's there. Then you get pickup, and the pickup sticks to the tyre itself, and then that takes a few laps to get off. So there's a lot of things that these guys have got to take on board so they don't get themselves into trouble.
The last thing you want to do is get yourself into trouble. There's another look at our race leader, the yellow and black Lamborghini, car number 25, Philip Geipel, well out in front, a couple of second lead now over Daniel Karlowitz in the Corvette, and in 3rd place, about another couple of seconds back, is Jose Cunil in the best place of the Porsches. That is the track speed car of Jose Luis, or Cizo as he's known, Cizo Cunil, just 19 years of age, so one of the youngest drivers in the field from Barcelona. But look at the lead that Philip Geipel has pulled out in that Lamborghini. Yeah,
he has. He's got a very good pace at the moment, very consistent.
Yeah, already out of the race, however, is Fred Makowiecki, and he is in the pit lane with Haley Coxon.
Fred, the garages are now closed. Do you think that you're going to be able to get the car back out there?
Yeah, we have Manu touch another car and a little crash, but he was doing a really good start. But now the race is finished for us because with this crash. I hope that for tomorrow we can do another race, because it's not really good for the championship.
And can you explain what happened?
Yeah, Manu tried to overtaking another car, and at this moment the other car cut the corner, and as Manu brake a little late, at this moment he touched the car just in the middle. That's why it's just in the middle of the door. It's not really good.
Yeah. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's another one. He needs to go down to the hairdresser as well. I think he's got time as well.
It's the French look about Romain Grosjean, of course, in GP2 and Renault Formula 1, and now racing in the GT1 series. He's got a pretty good hairstyle as well, which I can attest to.
Local thing.
There's another on board, though, of Makowiecki just getting that car back under control after making contact with the Audi a little earlier in the lap. Back out there in front, there's another look at that Lamborghini. Boy, Philip Geipel is just making mincemeat of this field. He has actually not set the fastest lap. Daniel Karlowitz was a fraction quicker last time around, but this time as they come across the line, it is I think a new fastest lap for Philip Geitel, not quite a fast lap, but very close to it. 2 minutes 5.3 for Philip Geitel in the Lamborghini, and the gap now from first to second is almost 3 seconds back to Daniel Carlwright. This is a little bit farther back down the order towards the bottom end of the top 15 or so. The bright green BMW there is driven by another Czech driver. Martin Matska, I believe, is driving that car now. No, I lie again. It's his teammate Nikolaus Meyer-Meinhof from Austria, who is driving the number 9 car, but embroiled in a battle with the Porsche of the team owner for the track speed operation, that being David Ashton. David Ashton, he's not a youngster by any means. He's well into his 60s, but still gives a very, very good account of himself. And again, the great thing about this series is the fact that we've got older drivers and younger drivers battling it out there together in this huge variety of cars.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I think, talking of big, that BMW is a big old car. You can see it when it was on screen a little bit earlier on. It's moving around because it's quite a high centre of gravity, which means the weight is very, very high in the air, which you don't want on a racing car. You want something very, very, as low as you can possibly get it. So the BMW looks as if it's going to be very hard in its tyres because of that centre of gravity is so high. So they're going to have to do a lot of work to try and somehow get that car to yes.
Oh dear, that's the number 3 team Rosberg Audi R8 LMS. That is into the pit. This was the same car that was involved in that incident on the first lap with Frederick Makowicki, but whether this is related in any way is hard to say. Certainly some hard side-to-side contact, but that's certainly not. That's more than the tyre wear that's causing that that smoke to come out of there, Johnny.
I think that's where the engine is.
Yes. Not good.
No, it's not.
That's a shame because
it's oil as well, so it's an engine.
Those guys who came into this race with pretty high expectations, a very good driver lineup with Kenneth Heyer and Johannes Seidlitz. Johannes is one of the younger drivers in the field, just 19 years of age, but a goodly amount of experience. He's raced over here for a year in the UK in Formula Renault BARC, finished second in the championship a couple of years ago, and now stepping into the GT3 series after 1 year of the DTM in Germany. Here's a look at Giacomo Petrobelli in the Chad Racing Ferrari, running currently in 9th place. He's done a nice job. He's made up some ground. He started on the 6th race, started in 12th and moved his way up to 9th.
Yeah, he's done some nice overtaking. He seems to be sort of now just starting to edge his way on the back of that R8, I think it's the number 6, I think it is. So it seems to be the Ferrari is actually better in race trim than it is in the qualifying side of it. But that makes it more difficult for them. Of course, they start further back and then you've got to try and pass those cars. But so far, they're doing a very good job.
So just about, you can see the time ticking away at the top. There's a 60-minute race, so almost a quarter of the way through as we watch this battle developing there. It's in the sort of lower end of the top 10. That's Paul van Splunteren in the Porsche, the Pro Speed competition car, number 61. As we're back to the pit lane.
They're still fighting it.
Worse, isn't it?
They're still fighting it in there, yeah. I think it's one of those things, it looks as if the oil leak's at the back of the engine, near the bulkhead of the chassis, and I think it's probably quite difficult to get the thing out by the look.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, is the old saying, but they don't seem to be too worried about it.
Well, no, that's just true.
Let's get back down to the pit lane, and one of the drivers in that car number 3 is Kenneth Heyer, who's the son of a very famous driver from the 70s, 60s and 70s, but young Kenneth is making a name for himself also in this sport, but his car is out of the race. He is with Haley Coxon.
Kenneth, there's quite a bit of damage there to the car. Do you think you'll be able to get it back out there?
Yeah, at the first round I get a big bump from Aston Martin and the hairpin, and from that moment I don't want to race. I asked it to the box if I come in, but I have a lot of heatness problems after that, and now I don't know, we have some fire in the back, but I can't say what it is at the moment.
How about for race 2?
What?
How about for race 2?
Yeah, we will prepare, that's not the problem, but it makes no fun. First race in such a stupid situation because it has not to be. It's a slow corner and he's totally flat into my car. So.
Kenneth, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Haley. And you could see as the interview was concluding, again at replay of Fred Makowicki, and you could see the steering was cracked all the way over to the left, but the tyres were cold. There was not enough grip in the car at that early stage of race. That's exactly what we talked about before the start. He hadn't got those tyres up to optimal pressures and temperatures, and without the amount of grip that he thought he was going to have, he just understeered, he just ploughed into the side of that Team Rosberg Audi. And it's well, both cars came off very much second best. But it was, I beg your pardon, it was actually Manu Rodriguez who was driving the car, wasn't it, in the early stages of the race. There is Ellen Law on the right, a big smile from her. She will take over from Philipp Geipel in the second half of this race. And Ellen, way back in the 80s, became the first woman ever to win a DTM championship race for BMW. She was driving back then, so a massive amount of experience. She raced in a lot of different cars over a lot of years, but lately I think she's been more involved in the Dakar event and such like, so making a bit of a return, I believe, to on-track competition.
Yeah, I think she has. I think, yes, exactly, Jeremy. She did a little bit of the sort of the Paris-Dakar, but I think she's actually not been too involved with racing in the last couple of years, and obviously this is her comeback, and very good start to that.
Yeah, she's going to take over that car from Philipp Geipel in somewhere between 10 or 15 minutes or so later in the race. There's a look at the second place car of the Corvette. We look at the standings, 7 laps completed, and the gap that Philipp Geipel has pulled out in the Lamborghini now up to almost, well, over 4.5 seconds over the Corvette that we are looking at there, car number 101, driven by Daniel Karlowitz, and he's done a super job, just 20 years of age. In 4th place is the Porsche of Joe Osborne, followed by Joachim Lambot. Behind him in 7th place, the Porsche of Paul van Splunderen, and Stefan Lemarais in the Audi, and Giacomo Petrovelli in another Audi. The BMW Z4 rounds out the top 10. Then just outside the top 10 is, or just inside the top 10, I should say, Giacomo Petrovelli in that Chad Racing bright red Ferrari. That's the colour a Ferrari should be, Johnny.
Absolutely, definitely so. It's interesting seeing the 25 leading Lamborghini. He's so consistent on his lap times. 2:05.3, 2:05.4. He's so consistent, and this is exactly what you need to be in this form of racing.
Isn't that right? In fact, that was his fastest lap of the race. Yeah. Just every lap seems to be just a half a tenth or so, that close quicker than the preceding lap. A new fastest lap of the race there by Philipp Geipel in car number 25 extends that lead now to 5.8 seconds last time around, 8 laps completed.
You know, leading on to what he's trying to do from a career point of view. Of course, this is the feeder for the GT1 World Championship, and this is something that the team managers will be looking at. We're wanting a young driver that is fast, but he's very, very consistent, and this is his opportunity to do that. A few more races to come, of course, but it does look as if he has a very good concentration, and that concentration is paying off so far.
Is Petrovelli ducking out to look possibly making a pass on Paul van Splunderen, not close enough that time around, but breathing down his shoulders now is that BMW Z4 with Csaba Walter at the wheel, and he is from Hungary. He's again been racing for an awful long time as Csaba Walter, but he's new to this team. He did race in this championship last year. He's a former Opel Astra Cup driver in Germany, but he's certainly making a good impression running in the top 10 here. But no one, it seems, can touch this man. Philipp Geipel out firmly in the lead with the Lamborghini Gallardo of Argo Racing, and he's making his way here through this very tricky Beckett's Clompex, Johnny Herbert.
Yeah, it's fantastic because the speed is so high, and it's something that the exhilaration that the drivers get from it is something that is very special. But it gives the drivers a lot of problems sometimes, because it's very hard to keep it on the right racing line, and what these guys are having to learn is to do that consistency through that section. And I think that the overall, the way the track is now, there's such a nice variety of corners, from the fast to the technical to the slow, and I think that's just a nice way for these guys to learn the ropes.
I was talking to Philipp Geipel just a little bit before the start. Just saying that this circuit seems to suit his style of driving, he thinks. Plus, he put together a very good lap. He also paid tribute to Ellen Law for helping to develop the car and help him develop his driving style over the race weekend. Now Geipel making the full advantage and pulling away at the front. But meanwhile, just a little bit farther back, we've got all sorts of battles going on down the field. There is a Porsche, an Aston Martin, and an Audi battling. And Martin Bradinger driving the number, that's David Ashburn, I believe, isn't it, in car number 21, which is the second of the Pro Speed cars. Here's a problem though for the second place runner. That's Daniel Karlowitz is off the road. We heard reports there might have been a little bit of sprinkling of rain, and in fact it does look like the track is wet down there. So that is the second place car who's made a mistake. Quite sure where it is, Johnny.
That's the new arena. I think it is, yeah. I think he went off definitely on the right hand, but it doesn't look very as if there's any rain out there.
It's still dry, certainly it would could, but yeah, well.
I think he's got more water coming out of the car.
Yeah, really.
Well, it's water or oil, definitely.
Yeah, that's the problem. And what a shame for Daniel Karlowitz. He's done a fabulous job in second place. Yeah, okay, that's the old complex there, moving off. That's the old Grand Prix track turned left, going through Abbey. But it's a problem for Daniel Karlowitz. He's going to bring that car slowly back to the pit lane. But what a disaster. That's the Callaway competition team. They've done just a magnificent job with that car, but really a major problem for Daniel Karlowitz.
Yeah, definitely so. Hopefully he's not breaking any very hard for these guys, but he did seem to spew a lot out in one go.
So there's the best place of the average now moves up to 6th place. It's Stefan Lemarais, a late addition to that team, but he's been around this sport for a long time. He lives just to the south of Brussels, has been racing for quite a while. He's done a half a dozen GT3 championship races in the past. He did one race with an Ascari in 2008 and 5 races also with a Porsche, and now making his return to the GT3 championship, hopefully on a full-time basis this year, driving for the Santaloc Phoenix Racing team, a pair of Audi R8 LMSs.
Yeah, well, he's moved up nicely. He started 10th, and he's moved up nicely now. I think it was 6th place, I think, yeah. So a nice move up. His pace has been very good at the moment. So this is what I said a little bit early on. The R8 seems to have a slightly better race speed than it does in qualifying too.
Great pressure here to shoot brought to bear. This battle's all the way up and down the field. That's the great thing, isn't it, about this series? This is the battle for 18th and 19th with the BMW Alpina of Nicholas Meyer-Meinhof battling to hold off Jürgen Haring in the Porsche. The battle, as you see there, for 18th and 19th places. Jürgen Haring once passed.
Yes, I don't think it would be long, because that BMW looks a right handful. There you go, another bit of a handful coming out of there. But it's, as I said before, it's a very big little thing. But you can see it moves on the bumps. It's not very stable whatsoever. So that Porsche, I'm sure, shouldn't be far from overtaking it.
Yeah, pretty much stock these cars, pretty much standard these cars. Not a lot of modifications that you're allowed to do from the road-going cars. So they certainly move around the car. The cars bounce around a lot more than would, for example, the GT1 cars.
He's all over the place. He's trying very hard. And as you said, yes, Jeremy, you're completely correct. But that's why I said the BMW is such a big car, and you just need something like the Porsche that's behind it. It is much lower. The engine especially is very low. And of course, you can see the sort of the bonnet on that BMW is quite sort of puffed up with the engine, but that means the weight is very high.
The battle then continues for 18th and 19th and various other battles all the way up and down the field as well. The leaders have already come past us to complete lap 11. Philip Geifel has extended his lead now with the retirement of the Corvette. It's now Cesar Cunil up into 2nd place for Porsche, and a full 14 seconds behind. And another 4-second gap back to Joe Osborne, also Porsche mounted in 3rd place.
Yeah, I can see a lot of activity in the pit, so I'm presuming that it's not long before we start seeing the first of the pit stops. I can see the guys preparing tyres.
In 35 seconds, the window will open. You have to make your pit stop between 25 minutes into the race and 35 minutes into the race. So that 10-minute window in which everybody must come in to make your change and then go out again. As we talked about already, the only thing that the drivers need to be aware of, I guess there's 2 things. Number 1, there's a 60-kilometer speed limit on the pit lane, purely for the safety of the teams and drivers that are working on the cars in pit lane. Plus, they have to make sure there's a minimum amount of time spent on pit lane of 70 seconds. Again, it's just to make sure that there's, to minimize the opportunities for the teams to make a mistake during a driver change. We don't want any disasters down there on pit lane, but it's down to the pit lane once more, and Daniel Karlowitz, we saw, did a fabulous job in the early stages of the race. His car out of the race, and he is with Haley Coven on the pit lane from car number 101.
Now
Daniel, have you been experiencing some engine troubles out there?
Yes, the race was good, but I was driving on the straight, and at one moment the whole windscreen was full of water, and then now, okay, we've got engine problems. Then I tried to get the car in the box, and now we cannot drive with this problem. It's yeah, it's not good.
Do you think that those problems are going to be fixed today, or are you not aware of that yet?
Yes, normally we want to change the engine for the race, but then we think the engine is okay, and now we change the engine for tomorrow, and then it's hopefully better.
Daniel, thank you.
Daniel Karlowitz is from the Black Forest region of Germany. He's a former racer in the Mini Cooper Challenge. And he finished actually second and third here last year at Silverstone, so he knows his way around this track. But his race is over. The pit lane, the pit window, of course, is open. Here are the first pit stops of the day. Not, however, yet for our race leader, who's just set a new fastest lap of the race. Philip Geipel, the car we're looking at right now, the number 25, the Lamborghini Gallardo, has just done a 2-minute 5.1, another blistering lap, and he's extending that lead now by a couple of seconds a lap over the pursuing Porsches and everybody else.
No, very impressive to do that. You know, he's doing 2:05.1, second place 2:07. So it's a big gap. So obviously, but this is the consistency I was talking about. But it's also where sometimes some cars are better in race conditions, and that Lamborghini's definitely seems to be hooked up.
Well, there's some damage to one of the cars. That is the Porsche, indeed, one of the track speed Porsches of David Ashburn, handed over to Martin Ragginger, and David, the veteran and also the team owner, did a very respectable job at the opening stint of this race. He will now hand over to his 22-year-old Austrian teammate Martin Ragginger, who has a factory, or did have at least a factory Porsche contract in his pocket. So he's a very accomplished young man, and he will now see what he can do in the latter stages of this race. But in the meantime, it's Philip Geipel who stays out in front. No point in bringing him in yet, in just now. The pit lane is pretty busy. A lot of teams making their pit stops now, and Philip Geipel is just extending his lead.
Yeah, the only thing they need to do is actually pulling in this lap. You can see now there's a lot of traffic because all the cars that were further back are actually coming out in front of him. So now he's going to possibly get stuck in traffic, which will lose him time. Hopefully, there's going to be a big enough gap for him not to get held up. I know there's 2 cars I think in front, so he should be okay. But he should come in this lap.
And there's 2 reasons he should come in this lap. The other one between, as you can see, the clock at the top there, the window will close at 30 minutes. So there is Ellen Law ready to get behind the wheel of car number 25. So he's in this lap. Yeah, so he'll be in this lap, and he's just going to complete. This will be lap 14 that Philip Geipel will have completed, and pulled out a lead of 17 seconds. It was last time around over Cesar Cunil in the best place of the Porsches in second place. That's car number 20. But what a sterling effort from Philip Geipel, and he's just not put a wheel wrong. He's been foot perfect and consistent fast laps. That's exactly what a co-driver would want from the guy who starts the race.
Yeah, I think it's it's the perfect changeover now for Ellen to get in the car and actually carry on the tradition that is already done by Philippe. So I think it's going to be a good first race for these guys. Obviously, there's still a long way to go, but at the end of the day, the pace looks very good.
It does. Coming round Luffield now for the final couple of corners. He will keep to the right-hand side here. The pit lane beckons. He doesn't seem to want to come in, does he? He's going to stay out one more time. Well, that's okay. We've still got some time because yeah, we've got 30 minutes gone in a race. Okay, fine. So he does actually have 5 more minutes. My mistake there. You can make this pit stop between 25 and 35 minutes into the race. So he does have another few minutes, I suppose, for the. But yeah, I think your point there, Johnny, is quite right, because you can see that traffic looming ahead of him, so it wouldn't have been a bad idea to come in then. But he's got such a lead that as long as he doesn't do anything silly, he doesn't take it off the road, then he's looking good for this first round of the GT3 European Championship.
Yeah, I think the BMW looks as if it's had its lights pushed out, so obviously there must have been a bit of contact somewhere around the track. So he's in the pits. I don't know if he's actually done a pit stop proper, but this may be it. But obviously there's a bit of damage there with the damage he's got on the left, as we look at it. And there's a few, as we see behind, a few other people's pit stopping as well.
Including the 4th place Lamborghini. Car number 24 is going to be on to the pit lane this time around as well. That is Albert von Thurm und Taxis will bring that car in, and Giorgio Sanna will take it out. And we see a lengthy pit stop for the Alpina BMW.
Yeah, and I think number 6 Audi R8 came in at the same time. So
they were running in 4th and 5th, weren't they? The 24 Lamborghini and number 6 Audi both in at the same time. Here is this pit stop with the German driver Albert von Thurm und Taxis getting out of the car, and Giorgio Sanna from Italy getting aboard.
Yeah, and this is another interesting part because they were very close on track. Now it's the guy who gets out in front. But in some ways, the guy who's behind wants to leave to get in front before, but then he's got to time it to the end of the pit lane at the same time. So he needs to go slower, but he might try and overtake him. So there's quite a lot of strategy involved in this.
Meanwhile, the strategy, you can see, as Johnny was talking about a few moments ago, some traffic here for our race leader, Philipp Geipel. There's a slower BMW just ahead of him at the moment. And several other cars in front of that as well. So you've got to pick his way through here, make sure he doesn't make a mistake. Once again, they elect not to bring him into the pit lane. I'm a little bit surprised by that, John. I know you are as well, because you've said you might as well bring him in when the opportunity is clear. If you've got a clear run down the pit lane and there's traffic on the racetrack, it makes more sense to bring him in. However, the lead is so huge now, it's out to, I think, over 20 seconds. That I guess it probably won't make an awful lot of difference.
It won't make an awful lot of difference probably for this race, but I think it's something that maybe the Philippe has to learn from and the team have to learn from, because if it was a closer race, they possibly lose that lead because of this. So they need to learn from this experience, because to me they should have brought him in when I said to bring him in, because now I think he's losing a bit of time.
Yeah, no question. I think there's 3 cars that are going to come up to lap. I think before the end of this lap, he's completed 15 laps. So on lap 16, his last lap around, even with a couple of cars he had to pass, was a 2:05.8. Meanwhile, in second place, Cesar Cunel just turned his best lap so far, but that was only a 2:06.1. So his best lap is a whole second slower than our race leader, Philipp Geipel.
Yeah, sure. But again, I think it's just a lesson.
There is our second place car.
Yeah. We'll have to see exactly how, because again, with the different drivers, there is a difference in speed, and again, it will be down to what driver they put in for the second part of this race to see what his speed is. He may be able to drag it back. You never know.
That's absolutely true. There certainly is some variety amongst the drivers all over the field. I'm sure we're going to see some people making a charge in the second half of the race. Generally, most of the teams have one driver who's a little bit quicker than the other one, and I'm sure those teams would be amongst those that make their pit stops earlier rather than later. So their second driver, if he's a little bit quicker, can spend more of the race out on the track trying to make up some of the time that might have been lost in the early stages.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's something that this is what spices up the racing. It makes the racing interesting, because when the pit stops come, something's going to change after that. One driver's quicker than the other. Finally comes into the pits.
And this time they did have to bring him this time, because you see the time ticking away there. 26 minutes to go. If it stayed out one more lap, that would have been less than 25 minutes to go if you were to do one more lap, and that would have incurred a penalty, and that would have been a major disaster for this Argo racing team. So now the pit stop, it's Philipp Geipel brings that car onto pit lane at the 60-kilometer speed limit, and you can see the crewman standing there ready to direct him into the pit lane. And Ellen Law, who has a good bit shorter in stature than Philipp Geipel, she will have a seat insert there to make sure she is fully comfortable when she gets behind the wheel of this Lamborghini Gallardo. Also in second place, Cesar Cunil in car number 20. He will hand over to Tim Bergmeister.
And this is where, again, a little bit of fiddling with the seat belts in the seat. But this is a little bit of time that you need to try and sort out before you get to this stage.
But again, the time is not necessarily the element in this series. They had to spend that minimum amount of time on pit lane, so it gives them a little bit of leeway to be able to make those changes. And certainly Tim Bergmeister, the other way around to the Lamborghini, Tim Bergmeister a little bit taller than Cesar Cunil, so you can see they took a seat insert out of the car when Cesar got out, and Tim Bergmeister just steps into that Porsche.
Sure. The drivers always need to be ready and prepared, because you never know what's going to happen during that pit stop. So the quicker they're in the car and ready and prepared, just in case there are issues that come in. So but it's still a good pit stop.
Yeah, so there goes Ellen Law back into, she hopes at least, the lead of the race. Cesar Cunil in second race. You see that car twitching there. She's got to get herself comfortable, and the good news for her is the tyres are already up to temperature. Everything is working well clearly on that car, but she nevertheless, hasn't driven the car for several hours. She's got a slightly different feel to it probably than before. The track conditions have changed a little bit since this morning, certainly, and she's got to get used to that, Johnny.
No, exactly, Jeremy. It's 7 hours or so from when they were last on track. The track has changed. The track has probably got better, and you just got to sort of nestle yourself into it. But you've probably only got half a lap or a lap, or you should have half a lap or a lap to get settled and then concentrate and get those consistent lap times. So we'll see exactly what she can do. But I think her wealth of experience will be very good for the team.
Yes, indeed. So looking back down the order, some changes. A quick note that Mike Parisi has taken over the wheel of the car number 16, the Corvette, the second of the Graf Racing Corvettes. Mike Parisi is a very fast driver indeed. I believe he might have got his way up into third place after that round of pit stops. We'll have to wait till everybody comes around to complete this lap to reset the timing charts, if you like, as we see Ellen Law coming out of the straight onto the Wellington straight. And in the meantime, down in the pit lane, Philip Geifel has got himself his thoughts collected after clambering out of that number 25 Lamborghini, and he is with Haley Coxon in the pit lane.
Philip, once again you're picking up some great times in the Lamborghini.
Yes, it was a perfect start, yes. I had a great start, was able to control the field, yes, and it was difficult. I have to push, yes, and to save tires, but I think I become a good middleway, so I think it was perfect.
Great. Must leave you feeling confident for race 2.
Yes, in the race 2, Ellen is the start driver, so I have to push in the end of the race. So let's see what's happened.
Thank you, Philip.
Excellent. Nice young man is Philip Geifel. Very impressed with him. I first met him just before the start of the race, and great sunny personality, and just loving every moment of being here at Silverstone. Loves the racetrack, loves the atmosphere, loves this European GT3 Championship, and he did a fabulous job at the wheel of number 25 Lamborghini in the opening 16 laps of the race. Since then, Ellen Law has come around to complete lap 17. She still holds a handy lead now. Into second place, however, is this car, the number 16 Corvette, just ahead of the Porsche that was in second place. So again, this strategy paying out. The number 16 Graf Racing Corvette making its pit stop early in the sequence, Johnny, and Mike Parisi taking full advantage. Yeah,
and it's all down to what the guys do when they, the out lap, or let's say the in lap and the out lap are very, very important, because it's very easy for the mind to just relax a bit too much and you lose too much speed coming in, and equally so when you're actually trying to do the out lap. You don't want to go too slow, which loses too much time. So obviously from that point of view, the Corvette did the much better job.
Indeed it did, and a personal best lap for the Ferrari, car number 87, with Petrobelli, we thought started the race. It's actually shown to still at the wheel of the car, but I'm presuming he's handed over to Diego Alessi, but that car has just done a 2 minute 6.8, the best lap that car has done, and that Ferrari, having started back in 12th place, is now up into the top 5.
Yeah, we've got one of the BMWs, the Team Esper Racing, number 10 coming into the pit, so I guess with a problem.
It's down in 19th place, it was shown. You're out of the pit window now to make your regular pit stop, so as you say, presume it's some kind of a problem for that BMW Alpina. And those two cars, very different colours. The other one's bright green and that one's white and orange. Here's a battle up at the back, down towards the end of the top 10, a battle for 8th place between the Lamborghini, the BMW, and a couple of Porsches in there as well.
Yeah, so the Lamborghini is trying to protect, the BMW is trying to protect himself from the Porsches, and the Porsches are trying to protect themselves from each other. The Porsches are trying to pass the BMW as it's trying to pass the Lamborghini. Great little race and little tussle, and that showed there as they entered that new arena section that the cars were sort of spread all over the track, and it was it's good, and they're spread all over the track, weaving all over the place. Great racing here.
Goodness me, there's some ducking and diving there, but that BMW clearly very quick on the straight there, coming down into the Brooklands and Luffield complex, and neither of the Porsches able to make a move. A little bit of body trim there off the side of the number 21 car. Now this is Martin Raginger, who is a very quick young man indeed, but he's got some talented drivers around him as well. The car number 61 just ahead of him on the road. is Marco Holzer, who's another. Well, they're both factory young factory Porsche drivers. So it's quite a battle going on there. But there is Ellen Law. She completes now lap 19. Lap 18. She's completed. But Johnny,
she seems to be struggling a little bit. Her lap times at the moment, she's doing 2:10.1. That was her last lap. And behind that, they're doing 2:05. So I think she's lost probably half of that lead that they had before the pit stop. So she really needs to knuckle down and get in the groove.
Put her head down, and we talked about she hasn't done a lot of racing over the last few years on asphalt, and so it's going to take a little bit of adjustment for her. But she certainly has, she's certainly got the experience under her belt, so she shouldn't really have any problems. She still has a handy lead, and that is a lapped car that we can see coming down the Wellington Straight behind her. But as you said, that gap has shrunk from around about 19 seconds down to 8.6, and Mike Parisi in that second place Corvette is really on a charge. He's just done a 2:05.7.
Yeah, so it's almost like 5 seconds a lap, so they're going to be on her in 2 if she doesn't wake up. So this is where part of this wonderful sort of GT3 is sort of coming into play. We have got Ellen, who's one of the most experienced ones on the field, or if not the most experienced, but it's getting quite difficult for her, and they're sort of really honing in very, very quickly. There's only +6, nearly 7 seconds behind, so they're really coming down. She hasn't gone that much quicker, I don't think, so far, so she's not responding yet.
Not yet, certainly, but that wasn't certainly a slower lap that time around for Mike Parisi. I think he had to perhaps work his way past some slower traffic. Only a 2:08 for Parisi, so that'll give Ellen Law a little bit more breathing room. But only a couple of seconds behind in third place. You can just see a glimpse there as the cars came through Beckett's there. The green and black Porsche, that is the third place car with Tim Bergmeister now at the wheel and charging hard to make up that ground. In third place, he wants second.
Yeah, and it looks as if the Corvette is really on the pace, because it's pulled away from that Porsche, that green-black Porsche just there in the shot, and he seems to have a very good pace. And this is where we got that mixture. We had a sort of a good quick Lamborghini at the beginning, and now obviously we've got the Corvette closing in.
We're going to the pit lane one more time. Joe Osborne, a young Englishman, did a super job in the early stage of the race, and he is with our Haley Cox.
Joe, you had great success in GT4 last year. How's GT3 doing for you?
Yeah, well, it was a very late deal initially. We signed Tuesday night with Molnar Motorsport in the Porsche. I've had no time for testing at all, so every lap I'm learning. But third place in there, we had a slight issue with the traction control. Sometimes it was working, so it felt like the Porsche had grip, and then suddenly it would turn off. So it's more like the Ginetta, it was sliding everywhere. But really, really good fun, and Gilles is out there now holding fourth place, so hopefully I think we can hold on for a top 6, and that'll be amazing from the first GT3 race. I'll be over the moon with that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
And Joe, of course, won the GT4 European Championship last year for Ginetta, a couple of wins to his credit, and making his debut in GT3 with Bernhard Mühlner's team, based at the historic Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. And that was an excellent debut for young Joe Osborne, so well done to Joe. In the meantime, here's this battle now building up for 5th and 6th place. It's the Petrobelli Alessi Chad Racing Ferrari, Conor 87, the red and white car, leading at the moment, but hot on his heels now is Dino Lunardi in the Tony Seiler Racing Corvette, and the Seiler Racing car, that is run side by side with the Callaway competition cars. We saw car number 101, Daniel Karlowitz, in the early part of the race running in second place, and this is effectively a team car running now in the top 6. And Dino Lunardi, who's another vastly experienced GT3 driver, is making up ground pretty quickly and looking at that second place.
Yeah, it's nice to see the Corvette seems to be quite a good balanced little race car, and I think at the end of the day it's great to see them up there. But we see Barassi is now, what was that,
less than 3 seconds behind. Yeah, the gap is closing down. Mike Parisi is really on a charge, and there is Yeah, that is the Corvette pit there, so Parisi has taken over. Sorry, gone.
Yeah, and what seems to be happening, Ellen is still doing 210s.
Yes, she
She's
is.
just not being able to get any speed, and she seems to be quite nervous with the car. Doesn't seem to have that confidence to really push it, which I'm sort of quite surprised considering the experience that she's got. But they're closing down really fast, and then she's going to have to be under an immense amount of pressure. But she probably is already, because she knows they're closing in.
Yeah, that's right. I think that BMW Alpina car is closing in as well, and that's already a lap down in outside the top 20, I believe. But Ellen Law, the good news is she's consistent. The bad news is she's consistently not very fast, and that lead, as you can see now, is whittling away. And Mike Parisi is really on the charge. He's just got that one back marker between himself and the race leader, Ellen Law. There is the Corvette. He comes across the line to complete lap 21, and the gap between them just almost exactly 1 second, and the clock is ticking for Ellen Law.
Yeah, it's a shame. That was her fastest lap. She did a 2.9 there. She's actually up to second a lap there, so maybe this is actually the time to wake her up. Maybe this is going to be something for that. Maybe she's been very shrewd and very clever. Maybe she's saving the tyres, but she's probably oversaved by the sound of it. But it'd be interesting now just to see how this battle pans out. But that BMW is really pushing her, which I'm very surprised.
Yeah, that car we saw in the pits earlier on with the damage to the right front corner, it's now going pretty quickly, and that might be potentially the only saving race for
pretty
Ellen
quickly.
Law.
I'm not so sure about pretty quickly. I think just Ellen's not going so good. There you go. There's Parisi gone past. So now he's only got Ellen in front.
Yeah, so that gap is going to get down to can she hold on even to the end of this lap? And just a little bit back down, and we look back around the corner there, you could just see a glimpse there of that green and white Porsche. I think is the third place car of it'll now be Tim Bergmeister driving that car, and in fourth another Porsche is quite a long way back in fourth place. So right in the minute, it's still Lamborghini, then Corvette, as we can see there, the second place. Here are the first and second place cars, pretty much nose to tail. And this battle is getting closer. They're coming into this new section of track. This is the arena section, and I fancy by the end of the Wellington Straight, Ellen Law better be watching to her left-hand side.
Yeah, I think so, because I think generally the Corvettes are normally very quick on that straight. So if he gets a nice slipstream, you can see now that he's really going to tuck underneath. And it's quite a long entry here, so it'll be interesting to see what line he takes. Yeah, I think she's just basically given in there. She's letting go, and he's very easily straight through.
Very gentlemanly?
Yes.
Something like that. So she leaves the door wide open. Now, I think, as you say, a smart move. There's no point in doing anything silly. No. She knows, she's got enough experience to know that she's not as quick yet in this car as the other leading contenders in GT3. So there's no point in doing anything silly and taking them both out of the race. She can still, for sure, I think, end up at worst probably with a third place finish. And for her debut in this series, she'd probably be delighted with that. Philip Gattel perhaps not so much, but still, I know he's got a great attitude, and I know he didn't come here this weekend expecting to win, so a podium would be great.
It looks like the third place Porsche has got a puncture by the look of that. Yep, got a puncture. What a shame.
Yeah, that's thankfully, that's a team car. That is the car number 21 of Martin Raginger, who's got some damage there to the left rear corner. We saw him, didn't we, involved in that massive battle going on at the bottom end of the top 10. It looks like Raginger has come off second best. So severely second best. Yeah, when you see the right front corner up in the air, you know there's probably likely something wrong with the left rear corner of the car. It's just crabbing its way down the straightaway. But there is, this is another guy who's charging. That's Dino Lunardi. This battle between the Ferrari and the Vet is continuing. Look at the flashing lights.
The flashing lights are quite funny, because it's something that the driver's always going to look in his mirrors to see where he is, and those flashing lights sometimes is a way of trying to distract him, trying to say, I'm quicker than you, get out of my way. And some people, strangely enough, do succumb to that, and he has succumbed to it.
What a fantastic movie. Look to the outside, duck to the inside. Wonderful pass, Johnny.
That flashing light, not so bad. But that was a good move, and that's quite a difficult place. Stowe is a very long right hand at the end of Hanger Straight. You go down a little bit into Val, and then it's a very tight second gear left-hander, which is quite difficult, to be honest, to be able to pull it off. So that was a pretty marvellous overtaking manoeuvre there. So he's moved up one place.
A lot of experience does have Dino Lunardi. He won the Peugeot RC Cup in 2006 in France. He won the Peugeot 207 Spider competition 1 year later, and he's made a bit of a name for himself also in GT3 over the last couple of years. So Diego Alessi is going to have to settle back. It's still a good run for Petrobelli and Alessi to come from outside the top 10 up into what is still now 6th place, but Dino Lunardi in car number 18, that Corvette, up into 5th.
I think it's interesting to see how this second Corvette is able to up its speed, because it's been something. There we come out of FSA, goes to the right, tricks him over to the left, and then down that inside. And it was a very neat move there, and I think it was something that he's probably been looking. He's been stuck behind him for a couple of laps. He's probably realised where he's quick and where he has that opportunity, and he got himself in that position to overtake.
He kind of looked to the outside and then up to the inside. Here there is a replay of the pass for the lead. That is Mike Parisi making the move on Ellen Law into Brooklands at the end of the second fastest straight on this new Silverstone Arena circuit. And again, a textbook pass. There is the reaction from the Graf Racing team to see their man Mike Parisi take over the lead of this race. And what a debut it would be for Mike Parisi and Joachim Lambot, that Franco-Swiss pairing for Graf Racing, a 7-litre Corvette, and they're doing a super job, and it's a good teamwork there. I spoke to those two a little while ago, and they were confident they could do well in this race because the two drivers were pretty closely matched.
Yeah, and Ellen's, I think, sort of coming into the clutches now of the 20 Porsche. I don't think it's going to be that long before another move, and she's going to drop down to another position. But I think she's sped up. She has been a little bit more quick. She's only a tenth a bit quicker than what she's done for many laps before. But she does seem to get a little bit more comfortable. But this is good experience. She's going to get this experience for tomorrow, and tomorrow she can hopefully sort of do a better job for the team.
That's right. And tomorrow, of course, she will start the race because
so it is important.
Yeah, exactly. It is good to build her confidence a little bit. She's going to starting a little bit farther down the order in tomorrow's
we've got
race.
Oh dear. We've got Ellen spinning there. I don't know where that is, but that's
exactly what she didn't need.
No, that's what she didn't need. What we were just discussing.
So that is certainly going to lose her third place. The question is, can she get back on the road before the Dino Lunardi Corvette running in fourth? She had about a 17-second margin between herself.
There we go. I think that's Brooklyn. I think she's just gone in a bit too quick and a bit too tight. Brooklyn's one of those funny corners, very long, tightens up, and I think if you're going in there a little bit too much on the brake, that's what happens. It will swap heads like that. So again, what you were just discussing, Jeremy, that's not going to do a conference any good for tomorrow.
So we've got out in the lead now with just over 7 minutes to go in this 1 hour race. We have Mike Parisi. His teammate is with Haley Cox.
Joachim, you had a great stint, but Mike's taken the lead out there for you.
Yeah, Mike is very fast. The car is very good. The team made an amazing job this weekend, and I hope we're gonna end the race at this position, because you know the team made a huge effort during the winter to build this program, and I'm very happy to be here today, and hopefully it's gonna be a good result today.
Great. And have you enjoyed the track?
Yeah, the new track is amazing. It's fantastic. I must say it's very fast, and Silverstone is for me one of the nicest tracks in the world. It's a very nice track.
Great. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you very much.
Nice to hear. Nice to hear that the drivers are sort of happy with the new track, and I think that's a good thing for the future. It's good for Formula One, MotoGP, and Superbikes, and for the fans that would be coming to watch.
Yeah, I think we've been trying to gauge the reaction to the drivers to this new layout, and there's a few people perhaps grumbling, but I think overall the reaction from the drivers has been entirely positive. Here's a look back now to the 3rd, 4th, 5th place battle. That is Ellen Law. She's still in 3rd place. That's the good news. The bad news there, looming in her mirrors, yet another Corvette, this time the yellow car, the Tony Seiler racing car of Dino Lunardi, and I think this is going to be a no contest coming down into Brooklands.
No, definitely not. She doesn't seem to come onto that straight very well. The Corvette seems to have that sort of extra bit of straight line speed. We've got the Ferrari now is right on her back door. She's got to fight once again. She's really made this, unfortunately, a very difficult race for herself.
Yeah, certainly much more difficult than she needed to. So she was looking, I think, good for that 3rd place, but that spin has cost her that. She's now back into 4th and about to lose 5th as well, as the Diego Alessi, Giacomo Petrobelli, Chad Racing Ferrari looms right there, very, very close behind. Just 5 minutes to go now in the race, and if I look back a little bit farther, but not too far back also, is the car which Joe Osborne handed over a little while ago. That's the second of the Porsches, the Muellner Racing Porsche, and it's Jules Vannelet, another Frenchman, who is not too far behind this battle as well.
No, he's closing in very quickly. Yeah, behind, exactly. But for Ellen, this is just something, she's had that spin, but now she just needs to really settle down and really get those confidence back, because it's something that she's gonna have to do tomorrow. She doesn't really want to be in a position tomorrow to be under extra pressure. There's only 4 minutes to go, unfortunately, for herself, but this is motorsport. It's not the easiest thing in the world, that's for sure, even when you've got that wealth of experience. Yeah, that's right, and particularly coming back from a lengthy layoff as well. Yeah. It is a tall order for her, but overall, she's getting herself up to speed. She's only 35 years of age even now, despite the fact she's been around, it seems, forever. But she started off her career in open wheel cars. She won the Formula Ford Championship in Germany way back in 1987 as a youngster, and was very highly tipped. She was very competitive in Formula 3 as well, but lately not doing much driving. So she's just building herself back up. Back up to speed, and you're going to make a mistake, aren't you? Particularly, these cars are pretty powerful. They might be only GT3 cars, but there's a lot of horsepower there, and there's a lot of grip, and these cars are hard to handle. Yeah, they are. And one thing we haven't probably taken into account as well, which is probably unfortunate for her, she's got older tyres. Now, this car may be very hard on those tyres, and we did have a comment by her teammate who said, "I saved the tyres." Maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't. So this is possibly made it much harder for Ellen to really do anything, because the car is so bad at the moment, So that's a bit of a shame, but that's a bit of experience for the team to learn from. And it is a pretty big and heavy car, that Lamborghini Gallardo. Yeah. Certainly, more weight than many of the other cars around it. And Philippe Guyton, he was certainly being very consistent in that car, but he was going very, very quickly indeed. Yes. And all those fast laps are going to take their toll on the tyres. Yeah. And what's another thing that's sometimes it's very difficult to understand, but when you come in and do those pit stops, the tyres do get a little bit cooler, and strangely enough, for whatever reason, when you go back on track, they're not the same anymore, and that is a very strong possibility of what happened. I think the temperature of the tyres was probably right on the edge of maybe getting too hot. He'd been pushing so hard for so long, and I think at the end of the day, I think the tyre damage was done, as we see Alessi pass. Ooh, trying. That's down slow, isn't it? That's good. She's picked it up last time around. She did a 2:08.8. That was her best lap, I believe, since taking over from Philippe Guyton. And to hang on there around the outside at Stowe Corner, when clearly the Ferrari appeared to have the line going down the inside, hats off to Ellen Lord. I think that spin's made her a bit angry. Yeah, got the gander up a little bit for Ellen Lord. She's now trying to fight back. Here's again a replay. You can see the Ferrari ducks from the outside to the inside and appears to have the pass made, but Ellen just keeps her cool, brakes late on the outside line there, which you can do, and maintains that advantage. Exactly. Again, Alessi had sort of the slipstream down that hanger straight into Stowe, and is that a change for the lead? Yeah, well, Lunardi was in third place, so I think the new leader is the car number 20, the Cunil Bergmeister car. We don't know what happened to Mike Parisi there, who's running second here in the order. So number 18 Corvette is all Corvette battle. Let's have a look here at a replay. Well, Parisi going slowly. I don't know if he's come off a spin though. I don't know if we've missed a spin or not, because that's a funny line at that. That's the new arena part of the track. Yeah, I think there must have been a spin, I reckon. Well, unfortunate. How long we got to go? 1 minute. Oh dear, 1 minute to go. So probably 1 lap to go. They're probably just effectively going on to the last lap right now. And it's Cesar Cunil in the Porsche. Here he is, car number 20, the Spaniard. We're sharing with Tim Bergmeister. We thought it was Cunil that started. That's what the scoring showed, but it still shows that Cunil is in the car. Well, they certainly did make a driver change. Whichever way around it was, it's Cesar Cunil and Tim Bergmeister, who look, having been running third for the most of the race, then second for a while, are going to come away with a shock victory for Porsche and this number 20 car, the Track Speed Operation, a British team, so that would be great news. Oh, there is Parisi pulling off the racetrack. What a shame to get that
You can
far
see-
in the
look,
race.
look,
Oh, sparks out the back. I think there's a bit of a fire going in there. I think that looks engine-y. There's a bit of a glow in the, that must be the exhaust, is it, at the back?
Two Corvettes suffered engine problems. We saw it for Daniel Seidlitz in the early, Karlowitz at the early stages of the race, and that put pay to his efforts running up towards the front. And here is the Bergmeister, the track speed Porsche, with just now less than half a lap to go to come away with an amazing victory.
Yeah, I was thinking before the race started, the Porsches haven't been as competitive as I sort of expected, but they've obviously put themselves in pole position for a fantastic result, a surprise result.
Yeah, well, again, these two, of all the Porsche teams, I think perhaps this Kunil and Bergmeister pairing is perhaps the best equally balanced of all the Porsche drivers, and they've taken advantage of that. They've made their pit stop at the right time, relatively late in the running, towards the end of the window, right at the end of the window, in fact, weren't they? So the second driver's only had to do just over 25 minutes, but he's done a magnificent job, and he's now just bringing that car home. And the last lap around was only a 2 minutes 9.1, so pretty leisurely pace, but that is just fine. The checkered flag now is virtually in sight for the track speed Porsche coming around Woodcote for the final time. The checkered flag is waving, and there he goes across the line. A magnificent victory for the track speed Porsche, the local team, for Kunil and Bergmeister. They come away with the victory. 4 seconds back only in second place is the Corvette of Dino Lunardi, and Ellen Law does a fine job to hold off Petrobelli Alesi, the Ferrari, for third place in that Lamborghini job.
No, absolutely, and I think what was good, if I look at the times as we see them in front of us, our lap times are actually on par with the other guys. It just did seem to have dropped down, so I presume she did have tyre issues early on because of how fast the car was in the first stint. But a wonderful result for the Porsches. They did a fantastic job there to be able to get themselves one in that second position, and then obviously to take that race win, and that will only sort of give them massive confidence for tomorrow.
I'm pretty sure that was Cesar Canil there down in the pit lane there. He's just 19 years old. He's actually born in California, in fact, with Cesar. He's lived most of his life in Spain. He's a Spanish national, and he drove an excellent first stint in that car. And Tim Bergmeister has taken it over and brought it home to a fine victory. Tim Bergmeister has been racing a long time. His actually younger brother, Jörg Bergmeister, has won a trio of ALMS, American Le Mans Series GT2 championships over the last few years. Tim himself has been hankering after a full-time drive, and he's shown every now and again some flashes of real inspiration, but this, I'm sure he will say, will be the biggest victory in his career, and it was certainly a very well-earned victory as well. They didn't put a wheel wrong, either of these Porsche drivers. It is the first ever win also for track speed in GT3 competition.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to see the Brits do well. Obviously, the preparation has gone down very well on the drivers, because the car was absolutely perfect all the way through. I know the other car had a bit of an issue, I think, but at the end of the day, I think it's a great race win, and that will only grow the team and both those drivers in confidence in tomorrow's race. But obviously, the races are coming up.
Yeah, no question. You know, Cesar Canil, he's done most of his racing has been in open wheel cars up until now, one of many to make the move across to the GT ranks and to come away with a win first time out. And as you say, the first win for the track speed team in European GT3 competition. A lot of success in British championship racing, but to come away and win at this level, a big feather in their cap. And there is the forlorn looking Graf Racing Corvette, driven so superbly early on by Joachim Lambot and Mike Parisi, but it all came to naught, and it is the Porsche that comes away with a victory here at Silverstone in the opening round of the 2010 GT3 European Championship. Let's have a look at the results. So as we see, the Porsche on top there, Cesar Canil and Tim Bergmeister, second for Corvette, and farther down the order is, well, third place was Geipel and Law in third place for Lamborghini. The Ferrari was fourth, Porsche was fifth, BMW was in sixth place, and farther down from that, the first of the Audis finished in eighth place. That was Stefan Lemeray And the Audis, of course, they were a dominant force in GT3 last year. This year, not quite on the pace, but we saw, Johnny, several of them had some problems early in the race. A couple of them, one was involved in an accident, another had a mechanical problem. But, you know, come away with an 8th place finish for Stefan Lemmer in his first race with this team. Not a bad effort.
No, definitely not. And I think the R8 has definitely not shown much pace in the qualifying, but at the end of the day the race pace is a bit better. They just need to improve on that qualifying to get themselves higher up the grid to have a stand a chance.
Yeah, another of the Audis finished also in the top 10. That was Paulo Bonifacio from Brazil, along with the young German Michael Ammermüller, making his return to racing after a couple of years absence. He was a star in GP2 and the A1 GP series, but now yet another one making the move to GT racing. There are our winners. We'll have a word with them in a few minutes, and it's certainly super to see. You know, they played everything perfectly. Tim Bergmeister took over that car with just over 25 minutes remaining. You can see he's a good bit taller than Cesar Cunil, and he did exactly what he had to do. And smart move, I think, by the team here. They got the strategy right. Cesar Cunil, he's the young charger, he's the young lion. Did a great job in the early stages. And there again is a recap of the finishing order. 28 laps completed, Porsche out in front. Second place was the Corvette of Tony Seiler and Dino Lonardi. Third place, the Lamborghini. Great start by Philip Geipel and Ellen Law. She has a spin but still brings it home in third place. The Ferrari in fourth, Porsche in fifth, the BMW Z4, Chaba Walter and Claudia Hurchins, another female driver, in the top 6. The Lamborghini seventh, followed by the best of the Audis, then the Porsche of Paul van Splunteren and Marco Holzer, and Paolo Bonifacio and Michael Ammermüller round out the top 10 in the best of the Team Rosberg Audis. Another Porsche in 11th, and Jürgen Haring and Kevin Estra rounding out the top 12. Aston Martin in 13th, the Ford GT, and then another phalanx of Audis, the Black Falcon car in 15th, United Autosports car, that's the new Anglo-American team, in 16th, and farther down the order. Tim Bergmeister, he has his first victory of the season. He is with Haley.
Congratulations, Tim. What a great win with the team.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really good. Cesar did a perfect job in the beginning, and then in the end I just had to control it. We had a bit of luck with the other Corvette, that they had problems, but it was a good weekend, or a good race so far.
So you've enjoyed the racing, looking forward to race 2?
Yeah, tomorrow is a bit more difficult, I think, because we're a little more in the back, but I hope we get a good result as well.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Haley, and congratulations to Tim Bergmeister. He qualified the car already for tomorrow's race. Here's a look again at the Philip Geipel Ellen Law Lamborghini that ran so beautifully in the early stages. Philip Geipel put that car on the pole and dominated the early stages, pulled out about a 20-second lead over everybody else, came in and made his pit stop, and then Ellen Law took over, and not quite on a leading pace, Johnny, and then she had a quick spin as well, but still a good performance by that team.
No, I think so. I think it showed the car has got pace. So I think from that point of view, if Ellen can sort of up the game a little bit, which I do think she did at the end of that race, they have a better chance of a better finishing position tomorrow. But it looks very, very good, and I think it will be a tough old race tomorrow.
Striking the livery Porsche there, the black, the green and the orange of track speed. Porsche 911 GT3 RS, GT3R